Just understand we don't make decisions in our lives. There's a divine presence that overshadows the earth and all life on it. There's a very powerful hidden force operating both in the general universe and on the earth also. We call it the will of God.
What if I told you the universe has been talking to you your entire life, and you've been ignoring it? Not through voices, not through visions, through timing, through accidents that weren't accidents, through people who appeared the moment you shattered. Every coincidence you've ever dismissed wasn't random. It was the field answering you in code. And once you learn to read that code, you can never unsee it. Because the truth is, reality has been responding to your every emotion, every doubt, every pulse of fear. You've been broadcasting your life into existence without even realizing it. And here's the breaking point. Once you wake up to it, you either evolve into a conscious creator or you collapse under the weight of your own signal. There is no middle ground. This isn't manifestation fluff. This is psychological warfare with the quantum field itself. A total reset of how you think, feel, and transmit energy. So if you're not ready to take responsibility for what you attract, turn this off now. Because once you understand what's really happening, there's no going back to random. But if you stay, I'll show you exactly how to decode the universe's hidden language and rewrite the reality you're living in. Nobody teaches you this because an anxious mind is profitable. A self-directed nervous system can't be controlled. After this, you won't just notice signs, you'll command them. Let's name what keeps slipping past your eyes, the code you keep missing. What if the number that won't stop following you isn't luck? It's a mirror. You notice the repeat. The clock pauses at 11:11. A stranger echoes a phrase from your dream. The same face, same story, keeps appearing in new clothes. It feels eerie. It also feels easy to brush away. Yet the pulse lingers, like a soft knock you pretend not to hear. Part of you files it as bias. Part of you feels a charge in the chest. The head weighs odds and shrugs. The body leans forward and listens. Two voices pull at the same thread, but only one carries warmth. Then the timing turns precise. You think of someone you haven't seen in years. Their text arrives before your thought fully lands. You decide to stop doubting yourself before opening your laptop. A job email greets you like a reply to an internal vow. The outer scene seems to rhyme with your hidden line. Let's make this real. Because this is the moment most people either wake up or go back to sleep. You're thinking about leaving a job that's draining you. You haven't said it out loud yet because you're scared. I want you to test this right now. Think about the one situation in your life that makes your stomach lock before bed. Hold it in mind. Now ask yourself, where has repetition already started? Who's been saying the same sentence to you in different costumes? And what random timing just lined up that you wrote off? That's your code. That's your bridge. Remember it very well. You're going to need it later. I'm going to show you how the field has already been answering you, and you're going to map it as I say this. Channel 1, emotion. Every Sunday night, your stomach locks like clockwork. Your body is already voting, get out. Channel 2, repetition. 3 different people in 3 days. A friend, a podcast, some random guy on the train, all say nearly the same line. You're too smart to be wasting yourself there. They don't know each other. They shouldn't match. They match. Channel 3, timing. The moment you finally whisper, I can't keep doing this. A LinkedIn message pings from someone you haven't talked to in years. Hey, are you open to a conversation? We might have something for you. That's not cute coincidence. That's the field answering the state you finally admitted to yourself. That's the code. Once you see it once, you can't unsee it. Every accident starts to look like choreography. You begin to remember an old word for this. Synchronicity. Not cause and effect, but meaning meeting meaning. A bridge between your private image and the public stage. A mirror that speaks with symbols, not grammar. The logic feels strange, but the fit is exact. Serious minds have walked this path. Carl Jung called it a causal connecting principle, where inner and outer meet by significance rather than force. Think about a radio. Your inner state is the station. The world plays the matching song. Change the dial, and a new melody rises from the same air. Nothing out there moves until the tuner moves in here. Change the tone, and the song of life changes with it. This isn't just poetry. It's old Hermetic wisdom, the principle of vibration. Everything moves, everything vibrates, and a shift in tone shifts experience. Here's why you were never taught this. An anxious broadcast is profitable. If I can keep you in quiet fear, in I'm not enough yet, I don't need to control you from the outside. You will generate lack on your own and then beg to buy relief. That's how the game works. If you ever learn to read your own signal and tune it on purpose, you become economically unpredictable. You stop being farmable. Your mind calls it confirmation bias. You know that trick. It searches for proof and finds what it wants. But here's the twist. The clusters come after a clear inner shift. The rhythm tightens when your mood snaps into place. The pattern grows bold when your state carries heat. Mere bias scatters, meaning gathers. You can feel the difference in your nervous system. Cool when it's noise, warm when it's aligned. Doubt keeps scanning. Certainty settles and watches the scene rearrange. The subconscious accepts what is felt as true more readily than what is merely thought, as Neville Goddard taught. Reality doesn't happen to you, it happens through you. Now, the code becomes louder as your charge grows. Quiet days bring light taps. Charged days ring like bells. A simple thought lands, and 3 doors swing in quick sequence. An old fear spikes, and small snags multiply. The field echoes the tone, not the sentence. Your life starts humming in key with your steady note. You don't chase signs. Signs chase you. They follow the trail of your most persistent assumption. They collect around the belief that refuses to blink. They ignore the slogans you repeat with a tight jaw. They serve the mood that lives in your ribcage. You notice how the mirror plays fair. It does not flatter. It does not punish. It reflects. When your inner weather clears, traffic parts. When your inner sky storms, phones die and plans slip. The world is not teasing you. It's responding to resonance. This is not fortune-telling. This is feedback. The code shows your current broadcast. It reads your station, not your fear of static. The song you send becomes the song you hear. Adjust the note, and the chorus moves with you. You start to test this without drama, a small promise to yourself in the morning. A quiet choice to feel safe in your own room. Watch as the day tilts by degrees. A gentle hello lands softer. A delay becomes a meeting. The bridge assembles in plain sight, like stones rising under your step. There is a paradox here. You don't control the pieces. You color the field they move within. You don't push the river. You warm the spring. Control strains and tightens the throat. Tone softens the gaze and widens the path. Reality doesn't happen to you. It happens through you. You hear that line now like a bell at dusk. You aren't forcing outcomes. You are selecting a channel. The program answers the dial. The dial lives in your chest. Your attention learns to tell noise from signal. Noise is lonely and thin. Signal repeats with care across places that shouldn't talk to each other. The song on the ride home matches the word on the street sign that matches a friend's offhand remark. 3 notes, 1 chord. The field hums back. Jung noticed this too. Inner image and outer event can strike the same chord, causally, when meaning locks in. You realize the mirror loves clarity. It bends toward the steady drum in you. Not every thought deserves a headline. The stable tone writes the story. A fleeting fear flickers and fades. A settled premise continues to draw its own kind. And when the clusters come hot and wrong, the code still holds. The signal says, check your station. Not as blame, but as calibration. like a compass twitching toward north. Adjust the needle. Watch the map redraw without a fight. Here is where it gets divine. The code is feedback, not fate. Signs are answers to state. Meaning is the magnet. The world arranges around the weight of your inner note. You notice this, and the tightness in your jaw loosens. You begin to remember how simple it is. Not easy, but simple. Feel sets the frame. Assumption sets the line. The scene follows. Change the tone, and the song of life changes with it. If the world is a mirror, we need to define what it's reflecting. Not every spark in the mind, not every passing mood. The mirror favors the tone that lingers, the belief that breathes. In a moment, we'll step onto the oldest name for that bridge, where meaning meets matter, and timing starts to obey it. Jung's bridge, when meaning bends matter. What if meaning itself is a force that organizes events? You notice this when chaos starts to rhyme. A mood hardens, a symbol repeats. An inner story grows loud, and the world begins to answer it in strange, clean timing. Jung called that bridge synchronicity, a meeting place where mind and matter share a sentence. Not a push, not a cause, a shared pulse at the level of meaning. He explored this idea alongside the physicist Wolfgang Pauli, not as settled science, but as a serious inquiry into how inner and outer might meet without a visible wire. Science asks for a lever to pull. Synchronicity offers a thread to follow. One demands force, the other reveals pattern. You recognize the friction. A part of you wants proof in gears and wires. Another part recognizes a deeper law, the world leaning toward what you hold most true. You remember a scene he recorded. A patient spoke of a bright beetle in a night dream. At that exact moment, a real scarab-like insect tapped the window and entered the room. The timing stunned the logic mind. The feeling hit harder. Inner image and outer event locked like two hands. The moment cut through resistance and opened change. Meaning bent matter into alignment. This is how archetypes walk. They are deep, shared shapes in the psyche. Not ideas, but living patterns. Jung found them through years of psychiatric work, universal motifs in myths, dreams, and symptoms that repeat across cultures. The hero, the great mother, the trickster. Names for tides that rise in many people at once. You see echoes in dreams, headlines, and personal scenes. The same pattern prints itself within and without, like a stamp pressing both sides of a page. Think of two clocks syncing to the same hidden heartbeat. They never touch, yet they keep time together. The heartbeat is meaning. Your clock is the psyche. The world's clock is events. When the beat grows strong, the hands align without a visible wire. Modern models give you another lens, carefully held. Your brain predicts, then perceives. It builds a model, then fills in the world to match. Interoception tracks the body's hum, breath, pulse, tightness, warmth, and feeds the model with tone. These are active areas of research, not proofs of synchronicity, but they help explain why a felt state guides what you notice and how you connect the dots. You don't stare at raw data. You meet the world through expected pattern and felt state. The match feels like truth. The mismatch feels like static. This does not reduce the mystery, it gives it bones. Your inner model becomes a magnet. It pulls certain cues from the noise and links them into a chain. A face turns, a word lands, a door opens at the precise second your doubt releases. You sense the field arrange around the premise you quietly decided last night. Meaning acts like gravity. The heavier it is in you, the more objects bend toward it. A light thought floats. A seated assumption draws a scene. You notice how your strongest belief picks its cast. Places, emails, glances, odd delays, and directs them into one frame. The more charged the premise, the quicker the scene coheres. This is where power hides. Not in forcing outcomes, in tuning the inner weight that events orbit. The psyche holds the pattern, the world supplies the props. The bridge isn't a road you build with effort. It's a span that appears when the inner shore and outer shore call each other by the same name. You begin to separate superstition from signal. Random noise flickers and dies, meaning repeats with care. It rhymes across domains that rarely meet. A word in a book, a symbol on a wall, a chance overheard story. 3 points draw one line. Your chest warms. Your breath slows. The click lands. Reality doesn't happen to you. It happens through you. What strengthens the bridge? Intensity of meaning, not volume of thought. Quiet can be fierce. A single settled yes can organize a week. A loud, frantic please scatters the field. You feel the difference. One is gravity, the other is wind. Archetypes deepen this pull. They are collective weights. When you carry one, the world offers costumes for it. You meet mentors when the inner student bows. You face tests when the inner hero wakes. You encounter thresholds when the inner wanderer lifts their eyes. The field is not mocking you, it is staging you. Consider the body's role. Interoception sets the key of the day. Tight jaw, narrow breath, the scene arranges in minor chords. Open rib cage, steady pulse, new harmonies appear. The mind writes captions. The body sets the score. Change the tone, and the song of life changes with it. This isn't magic, it's coherence. When the inner pattern locks, perception sharpens, behavior aligns, and timing tightens. You notice the right faces. You select the right words. You pause when rush would ruin it. And then the email lands as if on cue. You didn't push it. You matched it. Skepticism still asks for cause. You answer with function. Meaning selects. Meaning sequences. Meaning spotlights. That is a force, even if it wears no lab coat. A magnet does not argue with filings. It gathers. Now watch what happens when an assumption gains heat. The bridge grows visible. Incidents cluster. Doors that were deadwood loosen on their hinges. A coincidence becomes a corridor. Walk through, and another appears. Turn away, and the rhythm dulls. The world listens for what you carry with conviction. Here's the quiet payoff. When inner meaning intensifies, outer incidents arrange around it. Not someday, now. A premise set tonight reshapes tomorrow's meeting. A clean I am in the spine lifts a heavy hour. You feel the map redraw under your feet. Jung's bridge shows you the law of alignment. Next, you'll see how that alignment becomes a path, a chain of events that seems to assemble itself once your state is set. Neville called this next span by name, the bridge of incidents. What if the path to your goal is already laid, and your feeling turns on the lights? You sense this when a quiet yes clicks in your chest. The air doesn't change, yet direction appears. Neville Goddard gave this path a name, the bridge of incidents. A chain forms between your inner state and the outcome you live. Not a straight line, not a plan on paper. A lived sequence that seems obvious only after you cross. You want steps you can see. You want a map with clean arrows. Life answers with side doors, odd delays, and unlikely helpers. You expect a corridor. The bridge arrives as a hallway of moving parts. A call that falls through. A stranger who knows a stranger. A rescheduled date that becomes the open lane. A student of mine once tested this. In 2019, they were broke and panicking. One night they wrote a single sentence on a scrap of paper. It's already solved. Then they let their body feel what relief would feel like if that were true, and fell asleep in it. 4 days later, someone called with an unexpected job offer. The landlord extended their deadline. A random refund hit their account. 3 events, 0 logic, 1 clear bridge. You realize this mirrors Neville's rule. Sensation precedes manifestation. The subconscious receives the felt fact and organizes the route. The conscious mind asks how. The deeper field answers with movement. Doors that were closed loosen. People who were distant lean closer. The bridge assembles under your step because your step carries the end. Think of your phone's GPS. You set the destination to the final address. The map calculates through traffic and detours you'd never guess. It reroutes without asking for your theory. It pays no attention to your worry. It only reads the end and updates the path in real time. You are not the map. You are the destination set, and the tone that keeps it locked. You remember the case histories he shared to teach this. Stories where persistence and inner tone outweighed hustle. Night after night, the same felt scene. A release in the spine. Then the world shuffled. Not because of force, but because a premise remained steady. An assumption held with care, hardened into fact. Here's the quiet tension. The ego wants to drive every mile. The bridge asks for faith in sequence. You learn the difference between forcing and allowing. Forcing strains the breath and makes noise. Allowing stands in the wish, fulfilled, and watches the scene join itself. The same energy, different use. Delays arrive and poke the old fear. You read them as denial, yet the bridge speaks through detours. A missed call saves you from the wrong room. A late train sets you next to the right person. A closed door shifts you toward a better corridor you could not see. The field keeps you moving, even when it looks like pause. You notice how feeling sets the signal. Words can lie. The body rarely does. When the felt end is real to you, small coincidences tighten into a track. A mirror posts your next hint in plain sight. A note, a number, a small nudge. You stop demanding fireworks. You start honoring the thread that appears. Neville's core is simple and exact. Feeling is the secret. The subconscious, like a womb, accepts what is felt as true. It builds the bridge while you sleep. It sequences events without your micromanagement. You don't need to know the order of stones. You need to carry the end as already yours. The sequence handles itself. He often taught with vivid examples. In one, a soldier in 1943 imagined each night that he was already home in New York, feeling the worn arm of his chair. After 8 nights, new orders arrived, and he went home. In another, a young man saw his family name restored on a building, held that scene for years, and a stranger later financed the purchase. These are accounts from Neville's lectures, examples used to illustrate his method, not independent proofs, and they point to the same law. Live from the end, and events align. This isn't blind faith, it's craft. It asks for persistence in tone, a maintained attitude of the wish fulfilled, not a single burst, then retreat, a quiet drum that does not skip. You notice how each day you hold that inner climate. The world aligns by inches, then by leaps. This isn't luck. It's law expressed as rhythm. Here's the distinction that changes everything. It's not about visualizing a future scene out there. It's about assuming the feeling of the wish already fulfilled in here. Vision without feeling is a sketch. Feeling clothes the image and gives it weight. The subconscious accepts the clothed fact and moves pieces to match. The mind protests with timelines. The field ignores your clock. It speaks in alignment and readiness. When you tense and chase, the bridge fogs. When you relax into the end, paths widen. Paradox, yes, yet you felt it. The moment you stop clutching, the call comes through. You begin to recognize the feel of the bridge. It tastes like ease in motion, not lazy, not passive, clear. You do what's in front of you with a clean heart. You stop arguing with scenes. You keep the end in your ribs, and the day arranges around that pitch. Reality doesn't happen to you. It happens through you. The best part sits in the ordinary. You miss a bus. You meet a friend. That friend mentions a need. You happen to have the answer. A week later, you're standing inside the result. It feels obvious now, but only because you can look back. The bridge never shows its full span in advance. It reveals one plank at a time. Trust lands as a skill, not a mood. A practice of staying with the felt finish no matter the noise. You don't argue with detours. You read them. You don't chase signs. Signs chase you. They gather around the tone you hold when no one watches. The message is clear. Trust the bridge. Live from the end. Let events rearrange without your struggle. Keep the feeling steady, and the path lights on schedule. And underneath it all, one question keeps humming. What tone are you sending into the room right now? Let's talk about the signal itself, your broadcast. Emotion as frequency. You sense the broadcast the moment you wake. A tone sits under your thoughts. It's not the words, it's the hum. Emotions, thoughts, and assumptions blend into one field. That field speaks before your mouth moves. You notice how the room answers it. Emails feel warm or cold. Faces soften or guard. Small doors slide open when your chest is steady. They stick when your breath is thin. The world reads the tone, not the script. This is why affirmations fall flat when doubt holds the belly. The lips say, "I'm fine." The ribs say, "I'm afraid." The stage listens to the ribs. The body carries the truth to the edge of your skin. That truth becomes the stage direction. Here's a cleaner frame. The subconscious accepts what is felt as true more readily than what is merely thought, as Neville Goddard taught. You feel this in the jaw, the shoulders, the throat. If the story is safety, muscles unclench. If the story is threat, vision narrows. Behavior shifts. Outcomes follow. You begin to remember Neville's line. A change of feeling is a change of destiny. The words land like a key in a lock, not stronger language, different feeling. The field hears that shift and starts reordering scenes. People forget to say no. A delay turns cooperative. Paths that were dull start to glow. Think of music. Lyrics can lie. The melody tells the truth. You can sing bright words in a minor key, and the room still hears the ache. Creation doesn't respond to words. It responds to the vibration beneath them. Change the key, and every note rearranges around it. Emotional coherence gives you a picture for this. Head and heart beating together. A useful metaphor held lightly. When the mind paints one image, and the chest carries the same pulse, signals align. You notice fewer mixed messages in your actions. You stop sending yes and no in the same breath. Heart-brain coupling stays here as an image, not a claim. Breath smooths, pulse steadies, thoughts quiet. The system falls into one rhythm, not many. Clarity rises, reaction drops. That calm is not empty. It's precise. It selects different cues, different words, different timing. Watch how state appears to alter what you notice and how you move. In fear, you scan for exits and threats. You miss openings. In ease, you see the same room and catch the right glance. You answer instead of defend. You pause where you used to push. That small change redirects the hour, then the day. This is how mood becomes measurable results without grand theories. State shapes attention. Attention shapes choice. Choice shapes sequence. Sequence shapes outcome. The outer scene bends to the inner tone in quiet, ordinary steps. Now the tension. You speak the new sentence, yet feel the old pulse. You can't fake the melody. The body will expose your station. That's not a failure, it's feedback. The mirror is showing the real broadcast, not the slogan. You hear another line rise from the same well. The universe is not reacting to your words. It is resonating with your state of being. The words settle in the spine. State first, speech second. Tone sets the field. So you notice your inner speech and your inner sensation. One is language, one is pressure and warmth. They can argue or they can meet. When they meet, life answers fast. Coincidences cluster. Calls land at clean timing. Doors open with a soft click. This is the simple craft hidden in plain sight. The mind designs, the heart delivers. And when both beat in harmony, the signal is clear. If the mind says go and the heart says wait, the field stalls. When both say now, the bridge assembles. You remember another truth from the same stream. Your desires are not subconsciously accepted until you assume the feeling of their reality. For only through feeling is an idea subconsciously accepted. And only through this subconscious acceptance is it ever expressed. The sentence moves like a slow river. It names the gate. Feeling admits the idea to the deep room that runs the house. Watch what happens when the feeling lands as fact. Your posture changes by a hair. Your tone softens. You stop negotiating with the scene. You take the call you would have avoided. You send the note without bracing. The world responds to that ease with its own. Think of a playlist. If your station transmits doubt, the songs that cue are delays, mixed signals, near wins. If your station transmits quiet certainty, the songs change. Same world, different set, change the tone, and the song of life changes with it. You begin to notice how fast alignment speeds the plot. One clear state in the morning and 3 small alignments by noon. A parking space, a kind reply. A neat coincidence that saves an hour, not fireworks, function. The field becomes cooperative when your signal is clean. This does not deny hard days, it reframes them. When your station slips, the room reflects the static. That is data, not doom. You steady the breath. You return to the felt end, not to prove a point, but to reset the key. The next scene answers the new chord. You remember the anchor from Neville's teaching. What you feel you are always dominates what you feel you would like to be. Therefore, to be realized, the wish must be felt as a state that is rather than a state that is not. It removes the wiggle room, feel the reality, and the route begins. Wanting about it keeps it parked. Now you watch the chain in real time. Feeling shifts, perception shifts, micro-choices shift, outcomes shift. Coincidences gather like iron to a magnet. The clearer the field, the faster the filings obey. This is divine. Change your feeling tone and watch the outer playlist change. Not later, now. The next call, the next door, the next small turn of luck. And as the signal clarifies, you start to hear the replies. Not just one kind, but many. Different channels, different instruments, a wider conversation waiting for your ear. So let's name how guidance tends to arrive, the 7 channels of guidance. Think of these not as a fixed system, but as common ways people report meaningful coincidences. 7 patterns show up again and again. They feel like replies when your state is steady. They feel like noise when your signal is split. You begin to notice the channels, symbols, repetition, emotion, timing, dreams, intuition, reflection. 7 familiar routes for meaning to reach you. 7 doors that open when your tone is clear. Most people stare at numbers and stop there. They count 1111 and miss the rest of the choir. You realize the mirror can answer in images, in feelings, in clean timing that lands like a nod. Symbols come first. A sign repeats across places that shouldn't connect. A feather on the sidewalk, the same emblem on a billboard. Then a friend mentions it without context. 1 image, 3 echoes. You feel the inner click. Jung would nod here. Symbols speak from the unconscious, and their recurrence carries weight. Repetition has its own voice. A phrase follows you from video to text to passing talk. Not loud, persistent. It doesn't force itself. It returns with a calm insistence, like waves against a jetty. You remember what we said earlier. Signal repeats with care. Jung noticed that meaning grows teeth when it returns with charge. Emotion speaks as climate. You wake with a tone, and the day bends to it. Calm draws helpful faces. Tightness glosses small errors into big snags. The field listens to temperature, not shouting. The warmth in your ribs sets the rhythm for what arrives. Strong feeling marks significance. That's when coincidences feel more alive, more archetypal. Timing carries the cleanest edge. You hold a question quietly. The call lands at the exact minute you drop the worry. The right seat opens when you pause to tie a shoe. Not luck, alignment. Meaning and moment meet on cue. The fit is precise, and you sense the bridge under your feet. Dreams answer when the mind drops its guard. You go to sleep with a question resting in your chest. A scene arrives that names the pattern you refuse to see. You wake with a sentence you didn't write. The image lingers longer than the words. Jung saw dreams as communications from the unconscious. Guidance, wrapped in symbol for the waking life that waits. Intuition rises like a small current under thought. A nudge says, "Turn left now." No argument, no proof. You follow, and a stuck knot loosens. Rather than a grand theory, consider this a quiet knowing built from experience, a felt cue that moves before words do. Reflection is the seventh channel. The day itself becomes instruction when you read it. A delay shows the hidden premise. An easy hour reveals the state that birthed it. The mirror teaches by replay, not lecture. You watch the loop and name the tune. The feedback is plain once you stop arguing with it. You begin to remember that symbols and dreams carry messages from the deep room. They aren't random ornaments. They speak the language of the unconscious. They surface with heat during turning points. The more the charge, the clearer the image. And the more the outer scene seems to rhyme with your inner line. You notice that dreams answer when invited. You hold a question before sleep. You don't force a picture. You rest in it. The night replies in image, not argument. Morning offers a clue you can use at noon. Dream incubation makes this practical, a simple way to welcome guidance without strain. Intuition gathers speed with use. It grows as you live and learn. Patterns compress into a hunch you can feel in your ribs. You sense the right move and act, then discover the proof behind you. It's not superstition. It's a quiet alignment between what you already know and what needs to happen. Think of these 7 like instruments in an orchestra. Each carries a different timbre. Miss one, and the song feels thin. Hear them together and the score makes sense. The melody becomes whole. The rhythm lands in your bones. You begin to log what appears, not to chase magic, to collect data on your own field. 2 weeks of notes, symbols, repeats, dreams, nudges, exact timing, strong moods, daily reflections. Clusters form. A pattern steps forward. Noise fades. The act of logging sharpens sight. Attention moves from blur to dashboard. You stop arguing with whether it's real. You look at the record. 3 entries in 4 days around the same image. A dream that answers a note you wrote. The choice becomes simpler. Honor what repeats. Signal to noise becomes a lived sense. One-offs lose their grip. Charged repetitions rise to the top. You start to feel which channel is hot today. Symbol loud. Emotion steady. Timing precise. You work with the current, not against it. You also see the ethics in this. These channels don't flatter. They reflect. If vanity is loud, the mirror hands you distractions that look like praise, then fade. If intention is clean, support appears without spectacle. The field echoes the tone of the request. Not every repeat means proceed. Context matters. A symbol can warn as easily as welcome. The body knows the difference. Warmth means open. Stomach tight means pause. Emotion is the color of the sign. Read both. Dreams don't always speak in direct lines. They fold facts into image. A house becomes a mind. A locked room becomes a fear. You read function, not costume. The message lands when you stop forcing literal translation. Intuition doesn't compete with reason. It concedes it. You sense a path. Then you gather the needed facts. Both sides serve the same end. Quiet knowing, clear steps, clean timing. Reflection closes the loop. You watch the day and ask one quiet question. What did I broadcast that this scene reflected? Not blame. Calibration. You adjust the tone and watch tomorrow shift. Every channel grows louder when your signal is steady. Mixed states blur the song. Coherence makes the orchestra snap into time. Reality doesn't happen to you. It happens through you. Now the ground shifts. Sometimes the channels crowd with friction. Patterns tighten in a way that stings. The mirror isn't punishing you. It's turning up the volume on what you're sending. And that's when a different question rises like a siren in your chest. When everything seems to go wrong, it feels like the air tilts. Why do setbacks arrive in swarms right after doubt sneaks in? You feel the drop first. Energy thins. Calls go strange. Small delays pile into one heavy hour, and the room feels tilted against you. It looks like punishment. It lands like a verdict. The chest tightens, and the mind starts to bargain with shadows. You notice the reflex rise fast, fight the mirror, push harder, add speed to fear and force to confusion. The hands grip what is slipping. The voice gets sharp. You move more and move worse. The field answers with more static. The swarm grows teeth. But here is the quiet turn. The cluster isn't a curse. It's a concentrated reflection of a shaky broadcast. Doubt cracks the note. The echo multiplies the crack. The world is not judging you. It is showing your tone in surround sound. Consider this as lived experience, not rigid physics. Jung spoke of meaning-aligning events. Neville spoke of states arranging scenes. Neither promised gears and levers. Both pointed to a mirror that favors your dominant mood. The emphasis is significance, not strict causation. Think of a microphone set too hot near its own speaker. One small sound becomes a scream. Feedback drowns the music you meant to send. Nothing is wrong with the song. The gain is wrong. The system amplifies noise because the settings forgot the room. In a low mood, perception bends. You recall old misses. Neutral faces read cold. You take quick steps that match the fear, and those steps breed new friction. The loop feeds itself. Not as science you must accept, but as a pattern you've watched many times. Tension spreads through rooms. You feel it. A tight word in your throat tenses another jaw. Their edge returns to you sharper. The hour inherits your storm and throws it back. One ripple seeds the next. The swarm learns your rhythm and plays it on repeat. You realize this matches an old law. Your subconscious impressions determine the conditions of your world. The words are simple. Their edge is clean. If the inner imprint is shaky, scenes wobble. If the imprint steadies, the floor steadies underfoot. Not fate, feedback. Now a door cracks open. A micro-intervention breaks the loop. You pause for one slow breath, then another. The pulse softens by a beat. The chest gains space. You don't fix the day. You buy a yard of silence. In that yard, a better move appears. Simple breath pacing shifts the system. The body exits alarm and re-enters a workable rhythm. Decision-making improves when the state calms. You see more options. You stop arguing with phantoms. You pick the one action that clears a knot instead of tightening it. Before the next step, you revise the inner scene. Not a speech, a felt adjustment. The image of failure loses color. The sense of completion slides in like a warm light behind the ribs. You hold it for a short span. 60 seconds can reset the hour. You return to the task with a new note. The room hears it. The email that felt like a wall reads neutral again. The person who bristled now meets you halfway. The train you thought you missed opens its doors. Small changes. Clean relief. This is not denial. It's calibration. A bad hour does not predict a bad day. It's a request from the mirror for a new key. A change of feeling is a change of pattern. The sentence speaks like a lever. Move the feeling, and the pattern moves with it. You begin to watch the cascade in slow motion. Doubt flickers, breath shortens, vision narrows, words harden, outcomes tighten. That's the loop. See it early, and it has less power. Interrupt it once, and it loses speed. Interrupt it twice, and it dissolves. Small state shifts close big feedback loops. One inhale lengthened, one shoulder lowered, one inner scene revised from threat to completion. The next choice comes from clarity, not panic. That single choice changes the next three. You notice how fast the field responds when the tone settles. Coincidences that skewed against you pause, then soften. Timing relaxes. The person who cancelled now offers a better slot. The project that jammed reveals a simple fix. The mirror follows the new note. Ease spreads like fear. Your calm voice lowers another's guard. Their calm returns yours. Two nervous systems step out of the storm and into the same dry room. That room becomes the bridge you cross together. Cooperation replaces static. The day regains rhythm. You realize the swarm was never personal. It was mechanical in feel, a loop between state, attention, and action. State selects perception. Perception selects behavior. Behavior selects outcome. Outcome confirms state. Break the link at state, and the chain stops clanging. Reality doesn't happen to you. It happens through you. The line lands with more weight here. The bad cluster is not a judgment. It is a readout of the current signal. Adjust the signal and the readout changes. You begin to remember that waiting for the world to calm you rarely works. The mirror waits for you. When you steady, it steadies. When you send coherence, it sends cooperation. Not miracle. Sequence. One tone shift. One cleaner choice. 1 hour rewritten. There is a paradox. You do less and more changes. You stop fighting the glass and the image reforms. Effort stays, but strain leaves. You act from the wish completed, not the fear confirmed. That shift is the hinge. The code is clear. Treat bad clusters as calibration requests, not verdicts. The moment you read them that way, the swarm loses its teeth. The field becomes workable again. The song returns under the noise. Now your eye turns to the readout itself. What exactly is the mirror showing you in these moments? What if every delay is a diagnostic and every argument is a readout? You start to notice the day speaking back in simple lines, not as fate, but as feedback. So now you shift from reacting to reading. The mirror principle. Read your life like data. What if every delay is a diagnostic and every argument is a readout? The world reflects your dominant assumption set, the tone that stays when thoughts come and go. One premise lives in your chest. Scenes form around it like iron around a magnet. Jung would say the outer scene starts to rhyme with your inner image. Neville would say your state selects the sequence. Here's the snag. People overinterpret random noise or ignore clear patterns. A single glitch becomes an omen, or long, repeating problems get waved away as luck. Both paths miss the mirror. Both paths keep the loop alive. You begin to remember a cleaner way. Pick one area of life, career, love, health, money. Then list the recurring scenes that keep showing up there. Late replies, last-minute cancellations, kindness that turns cold. Name the assumption they imply. I'm always too late. People pull away. Opportunities vanish when I care. The premise surfaces. The mirror relaxes its grip. Keep this practical. Track what returns with weight in that one domain. No lab coat needed, just honest notes. The loop becomes visible when you see what repeats with charge. You see how the method clears fog. One domain, a short list, a single sentence that names the tone. The body answers with a quiet yes or no. Warmth means you hit the live wire. Numb means keep looking. The mirror has no opinion. It holds a reading. Think of a screen with a color cast. The picture is fine. The tint is off. Adjust the balance and the whole image shifts. Skin tones change. Skies soften. Nothing in the scene moved. The filter moved. Change the tint. and the whole picture feels true again. You start to track before and after. 2 weeks, no drama. Just notes. Inner dialogue lines you repeat, scenes that follow within a day. You don't chase results. You read sequences. The map of your premise grows visible, like ink rising under lemon heat. Clarity arrives when you separate signal from noise. Signal repeats with charge. It lands in the gut, it rings in the ears. Noise happens once, with little heat, then fades. You tag loud repeats as signal. You label one-offs as weather. The mind calms. The pattern steps forward. You catch how arguments carry data. The second you defend the old story, the mirror reports the same plot. A slammed door is not a curse. It is a meter reading. Your tone is tight. Your premise is threat. You loosen the tone. The next scene loses its teeth. Delays speak too. A line stalls when you push from lack. The stall reads your scarcity. The minute you settle into enough, the line moves. People appear with answers you did not demand. This is not magic. This is matching signals. The method gets simple. One focus. Recurring scenes. Assumption named. Then a new premise held like a clean note. Not shouted. Felt. You track the 2-week arc. Old scenes fade in frequency. New scenes cluster with the new tone. The field rearranges without noise. This rests on lived psychology. Attention goes where meaning lives. It selects. Selection becomes memory. Memory then trains attention again. The circle tightens around your dominant story. Break it by replacing the story at the center. The filter changes. The world you notice changes with it. You can feel the body confirm the shift. The breath deepens. The jaw loosens. The eyes stop scanning for proof. Calm spreads like ink in water. You don't force a new line. You allow a new bass note and the characters behave differently. Confusion lifts when you stop assigning meaning to every flicker. Not every number is a message. Not every hiccup is a warning. Signal is repeating, emotionally charged, and relevant to your chosen domain. Noise is random, low charge, and off-topic. The cut is clean. You notice kindness in the data. The mirror never scolds. It reflects. It shows mismatches so you can align. It shows matches so you can affirm. Praise and correction are the same act. A readout of tone. That takes the sting out. You read, you adjust. The day responds. Here's the quiet power line. Change the premise, and the scene revises. You stop begging the world to behave. You tune the source. You update the inner sentence that steers the hour. The control moves from the scene to the signal. That feels honest. That feels light. Now a small awakening. You don't chase closure in the outer scene. You change the premise that kept the scene running. A new core sentence replaces the old one. The day tests it gently. The test is not a threat. It is a chance to keep the note steady. You watch the proof unfold in practical ways. Fewer last-minute cancellations. Cleaner replies, shorter arguments, same people, same places, but the tint is corrected. The world looks kinder because you removed the ache from the glass. You also see the trap. If you widen scope too fast, you dilute the signal. One area at a time keeps the picture crisp. Keep the study narrow, and the pattern becomes undeniable. You can expand later. The mirror follows patience. When the data confuses you, return to charge. Which repeat carries heat? Which scene leaves a residue in the chest? That is your signal. The rest is weather. You now know what to answer with a new premise and what to let pass without a story. A final click lands. Decode the pattern. Name the premise. Hold the cleaner note. The rule sounds simple because it is. Complex lives still obey simple levers. From here, the question turns intimate. If the premise writes the scene, what happens when the ending is already lived in you? You'll see how distance shortens when feeling leads, and how the next span builds itself under your step. So you shift from reading data to living the end. The wish fulfilled, collapse the distance. What if the fastest way to your goal is to feel it done before it happens? You sense the pivot when thought quiets and feeling leads. Thought reaches, feeling lands. Neville's core practice is simple and exact. Assume the end and generate the feeling now, not as fantasy, but as state. The body carries the finish before the scene arrives. The mind argues it's fake. It wants proof before peace. The body wants safety before softening. A tug of war starts between thought and sensation. You sense the cost of that split. One part calls the goal, the other holds the brake. The field hears both and waits. Now the hidden door. You enter a lighter state first. Quiet the room in your chest, muscles soften, breath evens. The body drifts toward the edge of sleep without crossing it. Neville called it a state akin to sleep, where guards lower and impressions sink. In that soft border, feeling reaches the deeper room. You keep the scene brief, simple, a moment that already implies completion. A hand squeeze that says, "Congrats," a key turning in a new door, a message that reads, "Approved." No speeches, no long montage. One small event that only happens when the wish is real. Then you saturate the senses for 60 to 90 seconds. Texture, weight, breath, tone. The sound of the room you would be in. The smell that fits the finish. The posture you hold when it's done. The chest remembers better than the tongue. The body reads the scene as fact because sensation does not argue. This mirrors Neville's method, not a lab claim. Feeling is the secret. Sensation precedes manifestation. The emphasis is practice, a steady return to the end until the state stabilizes. The subconscious, impersonal and direct, accepts the felt fact without demanding outside proof. Think of an athlete who rehearses the last step over the line. The breath meets the tape before the race begins. The loop makes victory familiar. When the hour arrives, the body recognizes home and does not shake. You commit to nightly sessions for 7 to 10 days. Not for drama, for consistency. You hold the same brief scene. You let it end the same way. As the days stack, early bridges appear. An unexpected email, a chance meeting, a timing shift that fits the route. They look small until you notice the cluster. The path answers the tone. The mind still nags about how and when. You release both. You keep the end, and the bridge builds itself. Sensation precedes manifestation. The sentence names the order. The deeper system accepts what is felt and organizes events accordingly. You don't micromanage the route. You maintain the climate. You realize this practice isn't pretending, it's aligning. The inner state teaches the nervous system what home feels like. When the body knows the address, life finds it faster. Resistance drops, timing tightens. The world meets you where you've already stood. On some nights, doubt flickers. You let it pass like a passing car. You don't argue. You return to the 2 or 3 sensations that prove it done. The weight of the mug at the new desk. The hum of a loved voice saying, "We did it." The small details carry more power than grand speeches. You stop visualizing steps. You live the afterglow. The scene ends, and you hold the satisfaction. Then you drift to sleep with that finish still warm. Neville taught that the final concept of yourself before sleep impresses the subconscious with clean lines. Night carries the frame deeper than daylight can. Bridges begin without spectacle. A phone call lands at a better hour. A blocked line clears because someone remembers your name. You turn left instead of right and meet the missing piece. These are early bridges. They mark alignment, not arrival. You stay with the tone. The rest stitches itself. Each session teaches your system to prefer the end. Wanting relaxes into having. The chest no longer reaches, it receives. The field responds to that shift with quieter frictions and quicker openings. The map redraws without noise. The day answers with clean edges. You also feel the ethical edge. This isn't grasping. It's coherence. You hold a state that harms no one and integrates you better into your world. The wish fulfilled lifts context, not just self. Bridges that serve more than you hold stronger and last longer. The mirror respects a clean request. There is a paradox here. You act, but you stop forcing. You move, but you stop clutching. You show up in the room that already fits you, and the room behaves. The outer follows the inner because the inner no longer begs. It simply is. 7 nights can be enough to shift the channel. You wake on day 8 with a different baseline. The old script feels thin. The new tone feels normal. People respond to your ease as if they were waiting. Doors you once knocked now slide. Not magic, matching states. You remember a short line that lands like a bell. Feeling is the secret. The simpler the sentence, the deeper the reach. The secret is not hidden. It is quiet. It asks for practice, not noise. It rewards steadiness with bridges under your feet. This becomes your quiet test. Embody the end and let the route arrange. You stop checking the clock. You keep the note. Scenes align on their own timetable. The wish fulfilled is a climate first, then a fact. You notice how this practice pairs with structure. Old rules stand beside this state and help you hold it. They tune the strings you keep striking each night. Subtle, steady, exact. The next span offers them like tools you already know by heart. Let's put names to the tools you can use right now. Hermetic Toolkit. Tune the instrument. 7 old rules that still move the needle today. They come from Hermetic philosophy, distilled in texts like the Kybalion, and they read like tuning notes rather than dogma. Not superstition, structure. A way to steady your hands in a moving world, a way to hear your own signal through the noise. Ancient language meets modern days. That's the tension. The words feel carved in stone. Your life lives in calendars and pings. You want function without fog. You want clarity without giving up the mystery. Now the kit opens. Mentalism is the first string. All is mind. The field is thought made. You notice the dominant premise running your day like background music. Not every thought, just the one that stays. Shift that core line, and choices change without force. The room reads the new baseline like a stage cue. Correspondence follows like a mirror set. As within, so without. Inner and outer echo. This is the Hermetic principle that birthed the line, as above, so below. You read the world as feedback, not verdict. A warm exchange confirms a clean premise. A rough morning reveals a kink in the wire. The glass does not lie. It reports. Vibration gives you the dial. Everything moves. Tone, pace, pulse. You sense your current state as a frequency, not a sentence. Calm slows the spin. Fear tightens the wave. You begin to remember the simple law. The field seems to match your steady note faster than your scattered words. Polarity offers the switch. Opposites are the same line at different ends. Cold to warm, doubt to trust. You take the feeling by the middle and slide. Not denial, direction. You carry the same energy to a clearer pole. The mood changes by degrees, then leaps. Rhythm is the tide beneath your feet. Inhale, exhale. Push, rest. You notice the swell in your day when energy rises clean. Act there. You honor the ebb when the flame lowers. Rest there. The sequence becomes kind when your moves match the current. Cause and effect sets your chain. Every scene follows from a seed. You plant causes on purpose. Inner lines, small actions, measured words. The effects return on their own schedule. The ledger is honest. You stop asking harvest from empty soil. Gender finishes the frame. Not bodies, functions. Active and receptive, sun and soil. You sense when to send and when to receive. Vision meets action. Listening meets speaking. This balance keeps the circuit closed and the power clean. Each rule, is a practical frame from Hermetic teaching, carried forward by the Kabbalion and echoed in many streams since. They give the mind a scaffold. They give the body a pace. Together they reduce noise. Together they multiply signal. Think of this set as a tuning kit for your instrument. Each rule tightens a different string. One adjusts pitch, one smooths resonance, one corrects drift. When all are tuned, the song plays true without strain. A small twist at each peg changes the whole chord. You test rhythm as a proof. You watch your day for rising windows. A wave of clear focus swells mid-morning. You surf it. Tasks move in half the time. Mid-afternoon dips. You step back, stretch, breathe. The next hour aligns by itself. Calls return faster. Chance meetings land in your path. Synchronicities stack when you ride the swell and rest the ebb. The kit becomes a 3-minute check, a quiet ritual that brings these principles into motion. Before sleep, before key moves, you ask clean questions without drama. What dominant thought am I broadcasting? Where did the world echo me today? What is my current emotional frequency, and can I raise it a notch? Am I stuck at one pole, and can I slide toward the other? Am I moving with the tide or against it? What causes am I setting in motion now? Am I balancing send and receive? The answers land in the body first. Warmth means yes. Tension means adjust. You notice how mentalism and correspondence work as one. Change the premise and the mirror updates. You stop chasing signs. You maintain the tone. Signs gather of their own will. They find your address and knock. Vibration starts to feel mechanical, not mystical. You map the day's frequencies. High jitter, low hum, clear steady. Your language shifts from stories to states. You stop defending a mood, you watch it. You watch it soften by attention alone. Polarity rescues you on sharp days. Instead of fighting doubt, you move it 1 degree toward curiosity. Curiosity slides toward trust. Trust settles into quiet confidence. Small shifts compound. The storm ends without a dramatic fight. Rhythm trains your calendar. You stack creative work in rising tides. You stack maintenance in gentle ebbs. The body thanks you with less friction. The field thanks you with tighter timing. Doors open because you arrived when the hinges were warm. Cause and effect cuts through fog. You stop calling results random. You track the seed. You plant a cleaner one. You watch the echo come home. It isn't instant, but it is steady. That steadiness loosens the grip. Gender keeps you whole. Vision without action turns to vapor. Action without vision turns to noise. Receptive without active becomes waiting. Active without receptive becomes strain. You learn the rhythm of both. Send, receive, send again. The current stays smooth. Evidence lives in your calendar, not in an argument. You ride a swell and watch 3 small alignments appear in an hour. You rest on an ebb and see a problem solve itself while you stopped poking it. Matching beats is not laziness, it is craft. The kit shines in small choices. A quiet check before the call. A short readout before sleep. You keep the strings tuned. You keep the mirror clean. You don't force a song. You let the instrument play the song it was built for. Consistency is the lever, not strain. Consistent tuning stabilizes state, clarifies action, and multiplies meaningful coincidences. You reduce static. You increase signal. The field reshapes without a fight. Change the tone, and the song of life changes with it. And when the instrument is clear, a deeper note becomes audible. A hint beneath the rules. A sense that the player and the music share the same breath, and the mirror and the face are closer than they seem. You feel a new clarity land where theory used to live. You are the mirror and the image. What if the universe isn't talking to you? It's speaking as you. You feel this in the gap between thoughts. A hush opens, and the sense of separateness loosens. The watcher and the watched share one field. These are insights from long wisdom traditions. Non-dual teachings that say reality shows one face in many forms. They are not offered as lab claims, but as a way to move through life with cleaner sight. You realize non-dual doesn't mean denial. It does not erase pain or choice. It names the ground they rise from. Observer and observed are one movement, like wind and sway. You act, yet the field acts through you. Paradox holds. You are both brush and stroke. Here lies a trap on both sides. One mask is bypass, smiling over hurt, skipping hard calls with pretty words. The other mask is grind with no soul, all push, no listening. You notice both and you step between. You let spirit touch ground. You let ground speak for spirit. Ethics sharpens the edge. Power without heart frays the field. Intention aligned with compassion knits it back. You feel how a clean wish carries more reach than a hungry grab. Use this force for integration, not vanity. Let the bridge serve the scene, not just the self. A line returns like a steady drum. Inner speech is perpetually written all around you in happenings. You hear the weight. Private sentences become public rooms. Critical chatter paints sharp corners. Gentle inner tone softens the hall. What you repeat within, you end up walking through. You begin to remember another key. What you desire to hear without, you must hear within. The message is simple and stern. The outer cannot sing a song you refuse to hum in your own chest. You speak to yourself with the respect you want from life. The walls answer in kind. Growth is not a halo. It is steady hands. Relationships grow kinder. Choices grow clean. Neville warned against dressing wounds with slogans. He pointed you back inside. When you change your inner dialogue, your outer reality cannot resist reconfiguring itself. The proof lives in calmer mornings and fewer repairs. This meets Jung's path in a quiet way. Individuation names the walk toward wholeness. You reclaim your disowned parts. You carry both shadow and gold. The field responds to that honesty with better timing and deeper help. You become harder to knock over because you stand as one piece. Think of a painter and a painting breathing through the same brush. The hand moves, yet the image also moves the hand. Vision flows into pigment, then back into eye. Creation and creator share breath. You see the world that way now. You and the scene circulate through one lung. Evidence arrives in how coincidences widen their circle. When you act from wholeness, alignments lift context. A wind spills into the space around it. Another's day brightens because yours did. The meeting helps more than your plan. The mirror answers the quality of your aim. You notice what happens when inner speech clears. Gossip fades. Sharp self-attacks lose flavor. The mind grows polite to the body relaxes back. Bridges appear where grudges lived. The tone turns generous, and strangers feel it without a word. That is data, not wish. Daily practice becomes simple and exact. You revise inner speech when it wanders into harm. You hold the wish fulfilled as a quiet fact in your ribs. You watch for bridges in ordinary hours. The call, the nudge, the door that wasn't there yesterday. You act clean when the plank appears. This rhythm ends the split between prayer and plan. Your prayer is the state you hold. Your plan is the step you take with a soft jaw. Both move in one motion. No begging, no bracing. Only tone, then touch. The day respects that order. Responsibility grows light when it rests on love. You own the word you send into your own bloodstream. You notice the scene that grows from it. You clean the word. The scene updates. That simplicity removes guilt and adds power. The mirror shows cause without shame. You remember the warning with gratitude. Spiritual bypass steals time. It floats above life and calls it enlightenment. Grounded practice is different. It returns to the body, to breath, to action you can measure, you can feel when it's real. Your nervous system stops flinching. You catch yourself mid-complaint and rewrite the line. Not a pep talk, a retuning. The state loosens by a shade. The hour softens. The person across from you finds kinder words. These small corrections build a sturdy bridge over a season. The field notices persistence and rewards it. You begin to sense the field as one body. Thoughts are currents. Emotions are temperature. Choices are muscles flexing. Every move shapes weather for more than you. This is why ethics matter. Your broadcast raises or lowers the room. Wisdom traditions have taught this for ages. The claim is spiritual, lived, and testable in your day. Your assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. The sentence lands with both caution and promise. Persist in a weak story and live its weight. Persist in a clean one and watch its form grow bone. You feel the hinge. You choose the sentence with care. Awakening turns practical. It becomes co-creating with life, not escaping it. You carry the wish like a steady flame. You meet the bridge with quiet feet. You speak to yourself with the dignity you want the world to mirror back. The mirror listens. The image updates. So you notice how fast response can come when the note is steady. A door opens mid-thought. A reply lands at the pivot point. The field answers in the same breath as your tone. You feel the click. Small, precise, undeniable. And something in you knows what comes next. You made it. If you're still here, you're not watching a video. You're remembering something you already knew before you were born. You've just seen how the universe mirrors you, how your emotions write the code of your life in real time. So tonight, test it. For the next 24 hours, assume everything that happens is a perfect reflection of your internal state. Every delay, every coincidence, every person that crosses your path. Watch it as feedback. Don't react, read it. Because the ones who master that awareness are the ones who start to bend probability itself. If you made it all the way to this point, comment MVP below. It lets me know you're one of the few who can see through the simulation instead of being run by it. And if you want to keep unlocking the deeper codes, the ones that never make it to YouTube, subscribe to the second channel and join the newsletter linked in the description. That's where I drop the unfiltered lessons, the case studies, and the activation guides that are too advanced for the algorithm. Until then, remember, you are the signal. The world is your echo. Watch what happens when you finally broadcast on purpose.